Hi, I'm Amy. Welcome to the video. Today's video was totally not planned, but then I was doing my declutter and I found something kind of interesting. I don't know if you know this, but yesterday, we'll see how fast I can get this video edited and up. Natasha Denona released a teaser and saying that she is releasing a new palette, and it is a glam palette. I will insert a picture here of what it looks like in the palette, and then I will insert Trend Mood swatches here as well. But I saw it and I was like, that's very pretty. It's a lot of shimmers, which I know a lot of people are kind of upset about, but Natasha's shimmers are a really nice quality. You know, you can get a matte anywhere, I feel like. So when I shop high end, I like to get more shimmers because I do think that the shimmer quality is often where the money lies, aside from like the packaging and the prestige and blah blah blah. And it is pretty mid-toned. Like, there's not a lot of variety in depth as far as the very few mattes that you do get, and as far as these shimmers. This does have, I'm looking at it here, this does have a few more differences than the bronze palette, which was really just meant for like medium to deep skin tones to go ham, you know, like I get it. But I do feel like there could still be some more variety. And I had a Twitter conversation with MUA Andrew Rose. I don't know if you know him. He has a YouTube and an Instagram. I will link him down below. But he posted it and was basically like, tell me what you guys think. I think it's kind of boring or whatever. And I said, you know what? If I bought this, it would be because I missed out on the Sultry. So the Sultry palette, the ABH Sultry palette. So I'm still got that need, that want in my heart to have a really nice smoky cool toned palette. And I do think the Natasha Denona one would be smoky enough on me. It has a really deep brown, almost black shade in it, so I could do a lot of things with that on my skin tone. However, I have gone to the Pat McGrath side. I don't know if you've noticed, but I really love Pat McGrath's formula, and it excites me more than the Natasha Denona. But if I were to get this, since it is only a $65 palette and not one of her $129 palettes, or $125, whatever they are, I would consider getting this one because I did miss out on that. So I've been thinking about it ever since. And then today I was doing my declutter of my eyeshadow palettes and I was swatching a bunch of them and I was like, oh my God, do I have the colors from the Natasha Denona Glam Palette that isn't even released yet? Let's see. So I spent all morning trying to figure out what shades were what, because Trend Mood swatched them in a different order than what they are in the palette. The palette does not have actual names, so Trend Mood did not tag like what the names are. The names are like duplicates, so it's like inner corner, outer corner, center of the lid, stuff like that. We don't need that, Natasha. Go back to naming it whatever dumb names you want. I don't care about names, actually, except for in this instance where Trend Mood did not put them in the order. So I was trying to figure it out so that I could look at the color from Trend Mood. And then I also looked at Natasha Denona did live swatching on her Instagram stories. So I looked at that. And then I also compared it to the description on Natasha Denona's website and kind of used all three of those to come up with my own swatches. And I swatched, both of my legs are swatched completely up right now. I have like 40 shades swatched on my legs, and I only swatched drugstore because I feel like if you are going to dupe a shade or dupe a palette, you've got to be duping it with drugstore. It doesn't make much sense to say, oh, this $50 palette has the same shades as this $60 palette, so you don't need to buy the $60 palette, buy the $50. It's like, at that point, is the difference really worth it? So I found 2 drugstore palettes in which I got almost every shade. I am missing 4 of the shades that I couldn't find, which seem to be pretty average shades out of the palette that I think you could find in most other palettes. I wanted to do it out of one palette, but I found it in these 2 and they are very affordable. And I did make sure that both of these palettes are still available. I don't think they are available on the brand's website anymore, and I don't see them on Ulta, but they are still available on Beauty Bay. And since they are older palettes, you may already have these and just, like me, not seeing it in your collection with everything else. So let me stop blabbing and let's get into the swatches and let me tell you what these palettes are. And maybe we'll see if I just saved you $65. So if you're ready to see some swatches and talk about some possible dupes, just keep watching. So the two palettes that I'm talking about are both from BH Cosmetics. I have the Love in London palette here. So you can see it has some cool tones in it. It has some warm tones in it. A little bit more variety than the Natasha Denona Glam palette. And then also the BH Cosmetics Desert Oasis palette, which has really just a bunch of shimmers. So I'm going to show you Trend Mood swatches of the colors, and I swatched them in the same order that she did. And I will tell you below the colors in the order that they are swatched. And Natasha did provide names like, instead of just being outer corner, it's like 323M or whatever. So I will put those shades so you can go to the website and see what they are called. So you can go to the website and see them and be able to compare Trend Moods and Natasha's colors together. Okay, 8 of the shades that I found are in here and only 3 come from the Desert Oasis palette. So what I found interesting was how she described these. She described the first one that Trend Mood swatched as abalone. What? So I Googled this and it's not even a shade name at all. It's not like, you know, ivory. Like say you didn't know what ivory was. Ivory is a shade name. It is also like a thing, but abalone is only a thing. It is known as, in Russia and somewhere else, it is a word for a snail. And then when I am looking at it, it's showing me images of like turquoise or something. And it's like blue and all these different things. But I'm thinking that what she was getting at is that shell pearlescent color that you can get on a shell, right? Because when we say shell, we mean something that has like a pink iridescence, almost opalescence to it. So I think that's what she meant there. And the color that I'm duping for it is the shade Cheeky here. And these BH Cosmetics shimmers are so good. One thing I did notice is in Trend Mood's YouTube video, because I watched that as well, she came in and took some video with the flash on so you could see which ones really had sparkle in them. Now, none of the ones that I have found dupes for have like a iridescent sparkle to them, or like a sparkle that is not the color of the metallic, if that makes sense. So like I have this Cheeky shade and it is like a creamy white shade, but the shimmers in it are creamy white also. And then the next color that I have a dupe for, Tasha describes this as a medium warm silver. Now I thought in all the swatches that I saw in all 3 places, the Instagram photo from Trend Mood, the Instagram stories from Natasha, and the video from Trend Mood, that this swatch looked pretty blue. So I found this color called Turquoise in the Desert Oasis palette. And it's pretty neutral, but it does have the blue hint to it. It's like a cool neutral blue, which could be seen as a gray depending, right? And then the third dupe that I found, Tasha describes it as a dusty light rose, and I duped this for Lolly in the BH Cosmetics palette. And this is just that, you know, like a shimmery dusty rose. Now I do think that Natasha's new palette is more neutral. It's more centered than these colors, like especially next to each other. This one looks more blue, this one looks more pink than what I'm seeing in the pictures and in the video. However, on the eye, with some brown in the crease, I feel like you're gonna get a pretty similar effect. Or quench that craving, okay? So that's really what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to say,
hey, we don't need Natasha Denona in this house, okay? She doesn't need to sell any more palettes.
What I'm trying to say is you don't have to buy everything. You don't have to buy everything. And I'm mostly talking to myself, but I know there are some of you out there that need to hear it as well. You don't have to buy everything, okay? You can look in your collection and you can appreciate things that are similar enough that you can quench that thirst. You know what I mean? Even if you have a smaller makeup collection, I'm sure you have at least 3 palettes. How long does it take to get through 3 palettes? So I have, I don't know, like 50 palettes. I'm never gonna get through any of these, and not necessarily that I buy makeup because I wanna get through it. I don't know if I necessarily have that mindset, but I do want to have time to enjoy it, and I do want to appreciate what I have instead of it just collecting dust or just being a decoration. I don't want to just collect things because that could snowball into a real issue. What I'm trying to say here is take a second and look inside your collection and see what you have that compares to some of your favorite shades from the palette that you want. Make some eye looks. Maybe you don't even actually like it on your eyes. You know, maybe you don't like cool tones. Maybe everybody loves cool tones and you just haven't had a cool tone palette and this one speaks to you. But you know what? You have some cool tones in your collection and you don't use them. Try them out. See if you like it. Maybe you love it and those ones aren't giving you what the Natasha one would give you and you need it. You know, maybe it's worth it. I think that's something we need to start doing more, and I'm talking mostly to myself, but also to all of you watching, I'm sure. One thing we need to do more is have maybe a set of thoughts and questions and something that we are doing, some sort of obstacle that we have created before we just impulse purchase the next new thing, okay? So that's really, I'm trying to shift my perspective. This pandemic has changed so much in the entire world that I'm really trying, I'm to that part of quarantine. I don't know if you're there yet, but if you needed to hear this, you don't need to buy it. Take a beat, think about it, look through your collection like I just did, and see if you're even missing something like that in your collection, or if you would even use or enjoy something like that in your collection. Anyways, going on to the second row, because that is all I have from the first row. The rest of the first row is like a shimmery taupe, a shimmery neutral silver, a medium brown gray, and a mushroom toned color. So those are like your 4 basic, actually neutral colors in this entire palette. Everything else leans a little bit one way or the other. And I don't, like I said, I don't really have cool toned palettes in my collection. I did recently buy the Milani Soft and Sultry palette, which I know is a cool tone palette, but I did look at that against this and it's not, they're not the same. It has a little bit more warmth and depth than these 4 shades specifically. So we're going to go down to the next row, where the first one we have Natasha describes as a golden nude. And out of the Desert Oasis palette, I thought the shade Terrain looked the most like it. So I'm going to just swatch it right here. Now mine right here, mine is a bit softer of a gold, whereas Natasha's looks to be a little bit more antique, but I feel like almost every eyeshadow palette nowadays comes with a gold in it. Think about it. Some kind of gold, like champagne or gold, a more coppery gold, antique gold, a green gold. So take a second and look in your collection, see if you have a gold like this, or if you could take a darker brown shimmer and a gold shimmer and create something like this. The next shade here, Natasha describes as a pecan brown, and I think it looks a lot like the color Biscuit right here, and it's like a warm, rich, kind of bronzy color. Now I have another color here that I'm going to show you. It is called Prickly Pear out of the Desert Oasis palette. This one is a bit more neutral. I think it fits in the family, but I did not put it down for one of these, but I'm going to put it right next to it so you can see. So this one is Biscuit from the London palette, and this one is Prickly Pear from the Desert palette. Okay, and then the next one Natasha describes as a light nude, and I thought this one looked a lot like Mineral from the Desert Oasis palette, and this one is kind of a pinky shimmer shade. And look at the reflection. BH Cosmetics has a beautiful shimmer formula, and I prefer a metallic to a glitter. So I know colors that have shimmer and lots of glitter in them are very mesmerizing, but actually on my eyelids, I prefer a metallic. So I really love BH's metallic formula. I think it's beautiful. Natasha describes the next color as a medium cool gray brown, and I think this looks similar to the color Prestige in the London palette. And this one is a really cool with a, it has a bit of warmth to it, but it is quite taupey of a brown. And look at the reflect on that. Like, you can get beautiful metallics at drugstore prices. So like I said, these I don't believe are available anymore through the brand or through Ulta. You might be able to find them at like TJ Maxx. I know that they do sell the overstocks from BH Cosmetics, which is actually where I found the Desert Oasis one. But I looked online and Beauty Bay is still selling both of these palettes, so I will have that link down below, as well as Trend Mood's Instagram, and as well as her video and Andrew Rose's information, because I had that conversation. I mentioned him, so I'm gonna put him down below, and then I'll have the link for Natasha Denona as well. Okay, where are we at? And then the next color Natasha describes as a neutral champagne, which I think looks really close to this color called Palace. And this one is, it reminds me, if I were to describe this, I would describe this as a mushroom color in a metallic. So as you see from like this side, you can see it's more neutral and deeper than my skin tone, but then from here it reflects almost like a silver. It's very reflective. Like I'm gonna keep imparting this on you. BH Cosmetics has great metallics if you've never tried them. The next shade Natasha describes as a medium cool brown, which I compared to Crumpet in the London palette, London palette. Now the mattes in this palette are very, very creamy, and they do have a little bit of pickup, but I mean, I don't know if you can see that, but it's very creamy. I don't know if you can tell, but it's going into all of the cracks of my hand and kind of smoothing it out because it's so creamy. Okay, the next shade Natasha describes as a cool sienna, which sienna is literally the name of a warm brown. So in my mind, that means a warm brown that leans a bit more neutral. And for that, I am comparing it to the London color Lovely, which is right here. And as you can see, it is warmer than the one before it, but it is quite neutral. And then the last shade is described as a deep cool brown. Now for this one, I could give you the color Nightscape from the Desert Oasis palette, which looks like a deep cool brown. But looking at Trend Mood's swatch, it really just looks like a black. So I'm gonna give you the black from the Love in London palette, which again is very creamy and very black. So there's that. I mean, look at that alone is a beautiful, cool toned palette. I think I'm going to start creating some sort of questionnaire for myself before I buy something so that I can really take a minute and think about what I'm doing and how I'm spending my money rather than just swipe, 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 capitalism sucks, swipe, 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 capitalism sucks. That was really embarrassing. But we are gonna move on. Okay, so again, here are my swatches next to Trend Mood's swatches. They are not exactly the same, but I do think you get a very similar vibe, especially with that bottom row. I do think within my collection at least, I can dupe some looks that will be coming out of this glam palette. I can't wait to see people who do get it post some looks and Natasha to post some more looks and see if I can recreate them. Let me know down below if that's something that you guys would be interested in. As far as this video, that is everything that I have. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you are into dupe videos or something like this that really, I don't know if this would be considered a dupe video. This is more of a capitalism sucks, capitalism sucks type video. And it's more so of a let's curb our shopping addictions together kind of video. Let me know if you liked this video and if you'd like to see more like this where I take brand new palettes or hyped palettes and try to look into my collection and see what I can come up with that are similar to it, because I would love to do that. That sounds really fun. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!